Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited you could all make it. And today I think we're going to learn some things that are really topically interesting, things that might help elevate your own listing, things to keep in mind as you are considering renting. And I'm just so excited to be able to welcome Lorraine Woodward from Becoming Rentable. She is their Chief Energy Officer, and boy, does she bring the energy. So I'm so excited that you get the chance to hear from her. And I guess without further ado, gosh, we got so many fun people on this call. So what I want to say is this is casual. Lorraine has expressed interest in inviting you to kind of engage with her throughout the call. So we're just going to keep it casual, keep it fun, make sure you get all your questions answered. It looks like Lorraine has already started sharing her screen. Thank you. Can everybody see what she's got queued up?
Yeah.
Yes,
Thumbs
I can
ups.
see it.
All right. All right. Awesome. Very good. Well, without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Lorraine.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so great to be here. I'll give a little bit of an introduction. This is actually my second presentation, thanks to Debbie,
Yes.
for the Host to Host group. I am the CEO of Becoming Rentable and the founder. We are a company that's going to be 4 years old this year, which is hard to believe. The disability for me, it's been a way of life. I have muscular dystrophy. We have two, I say young boys, but they're 27 and 29. So, but they'll always be my young boys. But we also have two boys with MD as well, and really didn't travel as much as I had hoped to. It was hard. So when in doubt, what's a mom to do? You build a short-term rental that's accessible for the boys and a way to bring in some revenue. And that's what we did. Our first property was in Carolina Beach. And then after becoming rentable, we created the Little Yellow House, which is a model short-term rental in, of all places, Conway, Arkansas. So you may go, okay, why exactly did you start this company? Well, we found out that, there is a huge problem. When we started and built our beach house, and the name of it, Lorraine's Kuna Matata, a place of no worries. And it is a place of no worries. But what was amazing to me is we've had 450 families stay at our property, but every story is the same. And that is how hard it was for our families to find a place that they could rent. It was designed with our families in mind, our family in mind. We've had so many incredible experiences. And so I was turning 60 a few years ago, and I wanted one last hurrah of what I could do and make a difference. And it's like, I love my renters. I do have the world's best renters. My son, Alexander, is now managing our property, and helping him and guiding him manage our properties. And I'm like, Alexander, we've got the world's best renters. You're gonna, really have a blast. And so I'm really excited that he's doing
I'm
that.
on a call. What's up, though?
Okay. And so as we started really looking at what the problem was, there is an extreme lack of short-term rentals in the United States. Right now there's about 1.5 million short-term rentals, but for accessible short-term rentals, there's less than 1%, which is 1,500. And as of now, the CDC, has identified that 27% of our population, over a quarter of our population, are individuals with disabilities. It's a huge market, and we're only getting bigger, particularly as we baby boomers age. And we will increase our senior population by another 31 million in 2030. So we've got the need, and believe it or not, we have the money. CDC reported last year that there is $645 billion of disposable income from our disability and senior communities. And so there's a lot of money being left on the table. And so I hope that throughout this presentation, you'll learn some tips and tricks to help meet the need and bring about some new bookings. So when we started becoming rentable, it was, okay, what's the problem, and now what's the solution? And It's about education. You know, we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of us, if you don't have disability in your life, you may not understand what does it mean to have an accessible property? What does accessibility mean? You know, if you go and you look at other bookings, you might see, you know, on Verbo, they have elevator and wheelchair accessible filters. Airbnb has a few more. Some are broad, like we're wheelchair accessible. We have wide doors, accessible bathrooms. But as we looked at what are the needs of people with disabilities finding an accessible property, we believe that it's about choices. So we are very overachievers, and instead of 2 or 13 filters, we have 63, 43 for mobility and 20 for cognitive. The reason being, even with our family, you know, there's not a set of you have these 10 items and you're going to be accessible. It's not a one size fits all. What I need is very different than what Alexander needs, and what Alexander needs is different than Nathan needs. So, as we were developing the filters, we were looking at individuals identifying what their needs are. And based on that, our listing service would then populate those that met the needs of what somebody identified in the filters. And, you know, one of the key things for us is certifying properties. And the reason being is that so many times, because of that lack of education, people may not understand what an accessible short-term rental is, and may go, okay, I've got one of those suction cup grab bars in the bathtub. It works great for grandma. I guess we're accessible. And they put that on their profile. And then somebody may get there and say, oh, but you have 3 steps or your door's only 30 inches. So what we felt is important is that there is a third party, somebody that can go in, and we go in through the URL and we evaluate all the features you have and then validate. So when that renter does come to your property, they come to your property with confidence. They know that what you've put in your listing and showed in your photographs is what you're going to get. Oops, I forgot to take this off, but that'll open up a conversation. What is accessible in Oregon? Well, this particular slide came from a presentation I made last Thursday to Walkaway. Is it Walkaway Beach? Was that the right name? Debbie, was that right?
Is Rockaway.
Rockaway. Okay,
Mhm.
Walkaway, Rockaway. Yeah,
Similar.
beach. Thank you. And so, anyway, what we found out in Oregon as we were doing research for both of these presentations is that your guest with disabilities equals about 17% of our travelers. And within the state that's usually that your travelers with disabilities is 31 million. That's a lot of people coming to Oregon to vacation. And again, that coastal environment, you really get a lot of your visitors there. Surprising to me was the number of accessible hotels, or hotels with accessible rooms in the state. There were 29, 29. And based on how many rooms there were with that were accessible, it was commonly just one. And so that was really shocking. In Oregon, we have only 21 certified accessible properties. So, you know, there is a low number, which gives you all a great opportunity to expand. The reason that there's a cap icon over here is that when I went to Rockaway Beach to do my presentation, they asked me to come in and talk to their council about showing them the benefits of an accessible short-term rental, and to look at our certification program, so that because of their cap of 400 properties in Rockaway and the extensive waiting list that they have, they're considering
Hmm.
um, making an exception to that cap if you have a certified property. Because there's so few accessible properties in the state, and like a lot of communities, travel and tourism is a big revenue component
Hmm.
for the town, and that they felt like, and we'll find out in the next couple of weeks if the town council voted to move forward on that. So that's just a little tidbit of extra information tonight. So when we started becoming rentable, we didn't set out to do a bunch of new stuff, but we're doing a bunch of new stuff. We're the first company looking at accessibility in the short term rental space. Historically, in the STR space, accessibility really meant using a wheelchair. And hey, I use a wheelchair. I'm all about wheelchair accessibility, but we really thought about it, and we've broadened what accessibility means. And we look at mobility focus versus wheelchair focus, because what I need in a wheelchair is different than my mother-in-law needed in a walker. And somebody who uses arm crutches or canes is different than a walker and a wheelchair. But yet we all have different kinds of needs, which broadens, the opportunity for more guests to visit your property. Then last year, we opened it up to expand once again to the area of cognitive disabilities. That is your Alzheimer's, your dementia, your brain injury, your mental health. And then looking at those areas of need really opens up another market to a huge audience that never has been reached before. And so this year, we will be putting together our certification for our hearing and sight. And then, that just all puts it together for those of us, hopefully all of us, as we're aging. We got a little bit of it all. And we want to make sure that as we are traveling, that there are accommodations for us. May it be in a traditional short-term rental, a hotel, a cabin, a yurt, a lodge. And that's what we're trying to do when we're talking about accessible short-term rentals. As I said earlier, certification. We are the first, we are the only company that does go in and evaluate and validate. We have 43 filters for mobility and 20 for our cognitive. So as we look at this, what does it mean for you all? And what are the advantages for you all as you're marketing your properties? So we've put together some easy and free steps, and I have photos, and some of those photos you might know the property owners. But what is surprising to me, if it's Denver, Colorado, Portland, Oregon, or even Little Rock, Arkansas, what we find so many times is that a property has a lot of accessible features, but they don't list any. So they're missing out by groups of individuals. If they just knew that information, they might be able to book. So, an easy and free step is when you are promoting and onboarding and updating your property, include all the different features that you have, and be descriptive. That's what's really important. So many times, what does a wide bathroom mean? Or a wide doorway mean, or an accessible bedroom? That really doesn't say anything. Yes, ma'am. Did you have a question? No. Okay. Just making sure. So, I giggle and grin all the time when I'm looking at photographs, because so many times we see tons of birds, lots of dishes, beautiful scenery, but I really want to know what's in the property. And so here's an image here that it's like, okay, is this a roll-in shower? Is it a step-in shower? Is there a roll under sink? What features do they have? So when you're out taking photographs, make sure that you go from the ceiling to the floor. And if you can't get it in a frame, then do two pictures. I want to know what's on the floor. I need to know, is it a step in? Is it a walk in? How steep or deep is that walk in component? And here is a clear image that clearly shows what they have in their shower area. And again, we see a lot of curtains closed. Open up your curtains. We want to see all the goods inside here. And in this particular image, they've got the grab bars. They have the handheld shower. It looks to be step-in shower. They have a bench. So that you can tell a whole lot in this picture. It costs you nothing. But again, you're showing and then adding that information. Again, where when you're in a van, so Lorraine comes up, I'm in my accessible van, I get out now, where do I go? And can I get there? And so this photograph shows, all right, it looks like I can get to the front door. Now, the images in this property did take one of the front as well, but this gives you an idea of what a clear path to your front door is. Where is your bed located? Okay, this one is next to the wall. That's okay. I can see it over here. Now, in this photograph, I would also like to know or see, which I don't, is it clear underneath the bed? And that's really important for somebody like me that uses a Hoyer lift. Some beds have a platform. And for me, if you have a platform, I can't get on your bed because my Hoyer lift can't go underneath the bed. And then my husband put the Hoyer lift down where I'm going to sleep. So again, the photographs can help tell that story and what you're doing. The second thing that we look at are measurements. How wide are certain things? Again, how much space do we have underneath the bed? How wide is the door? Now, I tell everybody I'm a wide load. I can go through a 32-inch door, and I went through that 32-inch door. Got a little skid marks on either side, but a 36-inch door, I'm clear sailing. The height of toilets, it's funny how Debbie mentioned that she is going to have another grandbaby. When you get about 9 months pregnant, that extra toilet lift is really handy. And for people who have limited or have mobility needs, that extra 2 inches is important. So by, again, sharing that height, the benefit of that information really is very broad and important information for the traveler. So we have a house here that we really, really like, the family who has this property. You all might know them. And so we wanted to again show you some examples of again their post and again hard surface driveway. Why is that important? Because I will tell you, I will get stuck in gravel. I will get stuck in mud. And I want to know, can I, in my wheelchair, pull up to the driveway and get out? So that is actually very, very important and something that we don't think about so many times is that driveway. When I ask people, do you have a hard surface driveway? And they're like, yeah. And I said, well, that's like really important because that's the first step for me to know if you're even going to be accessible. And so having a lovely yard with flowers in it that maybe somebody would make a bouquet for you. But maybe this property I couldn't get in the back the way it is, but I know that there's a step and how tall that step is. So again, that is important. We have our door, the hard surface flooring in here. Now, I want Jennifer, who works with us, to create a social media post that the Cookie Monster and I are having a race because he might eat cookies, my wheelchair eats rugs. It is a rug eating machine. And so when I'm looking, at photographs, I want to know, is there carpet? Okay, good, there's not carpet. Debbie, it looks like there's a rug there, but you know what? I've got space to go around that rug. Those are things that we want to see. And again, by having a photograph, it shows a lot. For me in particular, the flooring is really important.
And
Again,
I would hope that anybody who stays, if that rug is a problem for them, they would let me know because we can move area rugs
right.
and we would be happy to do that.
And
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 we
that
would
may
be
be
happy to have a portable ramp for someone too to get up that one step.
mhm.
So,
Debbie, that may be something if you don't include in your description that you do include to say we have an area rug. If it becomes an impediment for you, please feel free to move it, or we'll be happy to move it for you.
okay.
I think sometimes there is that reservation. I don't want to be one of those pain in the romper-rooney renters, and so by including that, it just kind of, oh, this is okay if I do that.
Yeah, we invite them to give us some feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I'll do that.
And our handheld shower. You know, if you have, you have a pet friendly property, we love our handheld showers, particularly when the pups go outside and have as good a time as you do. And then for those of us sitting in a wheelchair, it's really nice just to be able to know I can control where the water goes. So the town that I couldn't remember, it's not Walk Away, it's Rock Away Beach, Oregon. And so this was a property that we found. It's a lovely property. It really is quite delightful. It's on Airbnb and they have zero information on accessibility. I mean, talk about missing the boat. I'm like, you've got to, of course, we can't reach out to, we don't know who the property owner is. We left them a general message. Maybe they'll contact us, but they have so many great features. We found 14 in this property, and you can look at this shower. I mean, that's just like an awesome shower, plain for everybody. But then you can have a party in the shower. But then all the accessible features that they have. And look, they even have the roll under sinks. They've got the accessible mirror. Over here, they have the grab bar, the back and the side for the toilet. So, I mean, this is a jewel of a property, but yet, again, a huge missed opportunity on that one. And did I put fudge? I'm going to have to go show you. I found another property, sickle. All right. Well, we'll go look at that other property in a little bit. So for cognitive, so mobility, I'm going to go back a little bit here on mobility. So many times, people are afraid of looking at accessibility because it's going to cost me so much money. And there are aspects that does cost a lot of money if you have to put an elevator in, if you're going to start moving walls around, if you're going to come, change your flooring. But there's a lot of things again that they had in place that didn't cost them any extra money because they already had it. But again, there are simple things that you can do to make your property more accessible, and I'm going to go into those. And Debbie can share with us, her recent effort in the last year of adding different things to their property. So as we went into last year looking at our cognitive filters and what makes a property accessible, if you had nothing in regard to cognitive focus, it is a less than $500 investment to bring about the various changes needed, but yet your reach is very great. Swings, may it be a swing like this or a rocking chair or a glider. Those are, important for people, particularly with dementia and autism. Now the bathtub is relaxing. One of the things I want to say about the bathtub actually is with mobility. Again, we all don't know what we don't know. So I'm going, when we were building our company and we said bathtub, and I said, no, bathtub is not accessible for mobility. And that was my thought. Well, I came to find out by my friends that are paraplegic, and they're going, what do you mean that's not accessible? I prefer a tub over a shower. And I'm like, but you're paralyzed. Wouldn't you rather, easily just transfer to a bench? And they're like, no, I sit in my chair all day long and I want to be clean. And I have the upper body strength. And I'll just use a board that I have, a transfer board that's in my suitcase, and transfer and enjoy and feel like I'm clean at the end of the day. So a tub, if you think, well, I don't want a tub, guess what? Make sure you put in there you have a tub, because again, you're reaching an audience that not only is for cognitive but for mobility. And so I love learning new things, and boy, I've learned a lot. Sound machines, now blackout curtains. I tell you, my husband can see the little itty bittiest light. Like I'll actually try to sneak my phone, and try to look at something. He's sound asleep, but no, that light, it wakes him up. So blackout curtains are a huge benefit for a lot of us, I'll say, and for our cognitive community. Dimmer switches, night lights. Extra locks on exterior doors are probably the greatest investment you can make, not only for children, but for people with autism and dementia, because they're known as wanderers. And so they may go out and say, "Oh, I really loved the beach yesterday, and I'm awake early, so I'm going to run out to the beach. I'm going to come back before mom and dad wake up." And so if there was only one lock and they know how to unlock it, they may go out the door, and that's when you have trouble. But if there's a secondary lock, and we recommend about 5 feet, then it's more difficult. You might hear them. And my families across the board say if there was only a secondary lock, we would go and on that trip. And Debbie, with your 8 grandchildren one day, having that, you might want to put a secondary lock on your home. But again, for small children, a benefit that, again, they know how to unlock the door, that deadbolt. I see them all the time, and their kids are smart. And they go in, and voila, they're out the door before you know it. So again, you can spend $10, $5. It doesn't have to be fancy, but that secondary lock, again, having a lock on a fence. Again, we see a lot of sensitivity in our cognitive community, particularly autism, with fragrances, and looking at that, of trying to address that. It looks like, again, here some of our favorites, and I'm noticing we got our favorites on multiple slides, but there's nothing wrong with that. The lever handle, I have to say, is probably one of my husband's favorite things that we had in our very first house with our now 29-year-old. He back in the day, he'd work, he'd have a briefcase in one hand, he'd go pick up Nathan, so Nathan's on his hip. He'd go to the door, a little elbow action because of the lever handle, and voila, he's in the house. And so, it's just, you've got bags of groceries, you're bringing in your suitcases. That's really helpful. But for people with arthritic conditions, even me, my hands, I have where my tendons shrink. And so I can't extend my fingers. So having the rounded knobs are really hard for me, but the lever handles are something really easy to fit. Now, my Nathan has a 3D printer, and he said, "Hey, Mom, did you know that you can?" You just Google lever handles, and there is a pattern that you can apply to your 3D printer, and it makes a lever handle that goes over the ball. Now you can buy those too, so you don't have to go and buy all new doorknobs if you want a lever handle. If you have a 3D printer and a really smart child, they can print you one. Or you could be like me and just go to Amazon, go somewhere and just buy it. Which we do have lever handles, but that's what I would do. Ramps, we have ramps not only because of me, but we have ramps in the car. We have ramps everywhere because you just never know where that one step's going to be. And again, you have 1 or 2 steps. Your house is accessible, particularly for people who use walkers and crutches and canes. But you have somebody that, is maybe has a temporary disability, a hip replacement, and they're in a wheelchair. This $100 ramp could allow that person the independence to get into your property. Or somebody like me with a wide load electric wheelchair can get up that ramp, and those 2 steps are no longer an issue for me. Another really easy thing to do is go to your favorite store. If your microwave's above the stove, actually they've come down like $49, $69. Buy a secondary microwave and put it on your counter. That allows somebody to independently pop their popcorn, to heat up their breakfast, lunch, or dinner, instead of waiting to ask for somebody to help them with a microwave over the stove. So one of the things on our team, Debbie has been a very generous addition to our Becoming Rentable team. And one of our friends is, her name is Linda. And Linda is an OT, and she came up with a concept called the Able Closet. Some of you may know more of like an owner's closet, where the owner puts the items that maybe the cleaners might need, or extra sheets or comforters. We recommend building it also out for disability features for your property that you may not want to have out in the open, just because you don't like them, you think they're ugly, or you feel uncomfortable, or sanitation is an issue. And again, looking at how can you make a difference? How can you, reach customers in a more broad basis? If I had to recommend, I would recommend a shower chair. It seems that that's one of the requests we get the most, is a shower chair. We do get a lot of requests for a bed assist rail, and that's for somebody that doesn't have a lot of muscle strength, might roll, and they could roll off the bed. It's also good for kids. You put a couple of kids in the bed, you get your railing, and they can't get out as easily. Linda's favorite thing that she swears by is the toilet nightlight. And she likes it. I know. I'm going, all right, it changes colors. There's like 6 colors. But what she likes it for is particularly for people who have low vision, who have dementia. Because it's dark, they don't want to open the door. People with dementia are commonly males, will go use the bathroom in a trash can because they see it's round, and they don't know or see or recognize the difference between a trash can and the toilet. So this $10 light will come on. I don't have one yet. I will have to get one. And it allows them to see where the toilet is, and it's great for your small children. It's great for people who have vision. Very inexpensive item that will really make a difference. Then we got another microwave lower. I tell you, I do. I love my renters. We have with one renter, and Debbie knows I love my stories. So this renter, and I'll try to be quick, 16 years old. His name is Gideon. Gideon, I was sitting outside, and Gideon got out of the van. He said, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you own this place?" And I said, "Well, Gideon, I do." And he says, "Well, I want to thank you for building it." And I said, "Well, you are more than welcome." He uses a wheelchair. He's 16, multiple physical disabilities. He said, "Do you know this is the first time on vacation that I'm going to be able to shower? We've never found a place that I could shower." And I said, "Well, I know you're going to love my shower because it's huge." So the next day, I'm staying on the 3rd floor. I go down because I love my renters. I'm knocking on the door, and I said, "I'm here to see Gideon." And then Gideon's playing, computer games, and never looked up, but he talked to me. And I said, "So Gideon, how's the shower?" He's like, "Fine." And I said, "Well, did you love it?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "What do you mean, yeah?" He goes, "Well, I got to pop popcorn yesterday. And I didn't have to ask mom if I could have popcorn because I could reach the microwave." And I said, "Well, Gideon, that's awesome." And I said, "Is that your favorite thing?" He said, "No." And he said, "I like the thermostat." And I said, "Well, why do you like the thermostat?" "Because mom likes it really cold, and I don't like it cold. And we battle over it, and she wins because I can't reach it. So our lower thermostat, he loved." I said, "All right, that's your favorite thing." He said, "No." And I said, "Okay, what's your favorite thing?" And he said, "The light switch." And I said, "Okay, why?" He said, "Well, it's lower, and it's remote control. So mom comes in, she turns out the lights, and that's it. But not at your house. I have the remote control, and I can turn on the lights, and I can keep free." So this little 16-year-old is now in college. He is a smart devil. He graduated early, and they've been to our property 3 times, and every time Gideon has that light on. And he said, "Miss Lorraine, my favorite thing about your place is your place because I can be independent." And so I love Gideon, but I love my stories. And so these features do make a difference
That's really touching.
in different ways.
That's very touching. Thank you for the story.
You're welcome. I love my stories. So another story is, as we're broadening and looking at accessibility, I kind of was thinking the Airbnb where you rent a room, and then the Verbos and the bookings where you have a condo and a apartment, a house. Well, this past year, we've been investing more time and energy in the outdoor hospitality space. And we started with the Arkansas State Park system, where we went in and we evaluated and validated their accessible cabins, yurts, and lodge units. And boy, have I learned a lot and how more and more people are wanting to enjoy the experience of the outdoors. And so I was very fortunate to receive a phone call from a company in California who said, Lorraine, we love what you're doing. Would you work with us? And we are putting together the very first 400 square foot, fully accessible mobile unit. And this unit will be available at the end of first quarter this year. It has 59 accessible features in it. I'm just kind of giving you all a sneak peek of what to come. It is, it's 400 square feet. So let me give you a few of the features inside of it. Now I really have been battling with this company. My job was to design. And those of you who know me know I love color, but I have black on today. But I love color. So this to me isn't very colorful, but it gives you an idea of what we have. So 400 square feet. So here is our kitchen area. We do have our refrigerator and freezer. Over here, we have pull-out trash cans. We have the roll under sink. And again, as we look at a roll under sink, we need to make sure that our sinks are shallow because again, a deeper sink, your knees are going to hit it. So we've got a good shallow sink with our faucet over here at an angle, which is easier to use. We have drawers for pots and pans. We have our lower microwave. We have our 2-burner over here. This is actually lifts up and will be our dining table. We have 2 chairs that will go with it. Now, what Arkansas Parks and everybody loves is our bathroom. So again, it's small and mighty. It's got the roll under sink. We've got our grab bars behind the toilet aside. Down, we have our bench seating, our handheld shower. We have an overhead shower. And we have lower lights, electrical outlets here. So in this unit, we are offering 3 additional items for purchase. One is an electric toilet lift, which I've used for 22 years without an attendant. It's just now that I need help off the toilet. And before then, I didn't have to have that expense because of this. They do run about $1,200. But again, for somebody with that need, it's an incredible opportunity and investment. The second item that we are offering in this unit is a ceiling Hoyer lift. I mean, this is going to be decked out with everything. And then the last feature are portable 4x4 squares that make a mat. So that if you don't have a hard surface from your car to the ramp, you can have these 4x4 foot hard surface. They're kind of like puzzle pieces that you can put together. And so we're looking at that. I am happy to say, and you all have been very, very quiet, even you, Debbie, and come on, Robert G, and not, raising comments or questions. But so we are very happy and delighted and really appreciative of this time. And we invite anybody and everybody to go online to becomingrentable.com. There is a quiz that, well, for some of us, it might take a minute. For others, it might take 3 minutes. But if you go through the quiz and you quote unquote pass, you get a free certification from Becoming Rentable. It is H2H, free year is the passcode. We'll make sure that you get that. And it's a $200 value. Just for you all, for the next month, it is free. The other thing that we are offering is we've been doing more and more consulting. And so we are giving you all a 50% discount for an hour session for $100. So if you want us to go in and look at your property, give you suggestions and how you could have a greater impact on your bookings, that we will do that for $100. So, and I even, Debbie, I have even time to spare. I usually talk forever.
Well,
So,
you're probably going to have a lot of questions, Lorraine. So,
okay, well, I'm going to take this off the screen because if I find some other slides that I want to show you, then I can put them back on.
Thanks, Lorraine. That's awesome. And thank you for that really generous gift to our members of free certification. And help us understand. So if someone goes through your free certification process, what can they expect? Are they going to be,
So, yes, so
yeah,
well, Debbie, why don't you tell them, because you've gone through our certification. You first have to answer a series of questions.
okay.
which are easy to answer. It's like, do you have this? Do you have that? Check this, this. Um, so, and
So
they're
it's like, yeah, do you have a hard surface driveway? Do you
right.
have 0 steps or 1 step to enter? Do you, so they're not like, what year was JFK killed? Or with something, that you're going, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So anyway, a doctor asked me that question in an evaluation. It stuck with me. So
Lorraine, this is Gary Beckler. I have a couple of questions.
okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So, so regarding the exterior door, you said it needs to be 36 inches wide. So if my front door is not 36 inches wide, am I out of luck? I mean, do I
Not at
need
all. So I was saying for me, I can go through a 36-inch door. What is going to be key for you is that you identify how wide your door is. Is it 32 inches? Commonly, we see a lot of 32-inch doors, and I would say 80% of people using wheelchairs and large walkers can go through 32-inch. The key is knowing what you have. Yes, the wider, the easier.
Yeah.
But it's more of, you have a 30-inch door, state that you have a 30-inch door. People of short stature tend to have smaller wheelchairs. Children have smaller wheelchairs. So if you have that 30-inch door, it doesn't mean that you're not accessible. You may not for me, but for others you are. So
So,
just make
so
sure
I,
you
so I have
include that.
my home was built in 1925, so I'll have to measure. I don't know if older houses have narrow doors. I'm not sure, but I'll check the width.
Okay.
Gary,
So,
when you measure, see if you can get someone to take a picture so that you can get that documented about the width. And
okay.
you've got
Okay.
proof. That will be really helpful on your listing.
Right. And then my second question, Lorraine, is I went to your site. So this is a listing site. So can people make bookings directly on your site? Can they
No.
book, can they book a
So
property on
what they will
the site, or is it
do,
strictly?
right. So we are a listing site. We're not a booking site. We don't take commission. The reason that we're a listing site is that we want to be that source where you go to find an accessible property. That's all we have, are accessible properties. When you are listed on our property and somebody is interested in your property, they will, click that button and it goes straight to your property wherever it is
Sure.
posted, and they then will directly book through you. We
Right.
have 111 booking platforms that are represented on our website. This way, people aren't toggling back and forth. Now, what booking site was that? What direct, URL was that? So we are building our site to be comprehensive of accessible short-term rentals.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'll tell you, Jill Palamountain was looking for a place in Washington to go for a vacation. She wanted to take her husband, who has Parkinson's and has very limited mobility, and her health is suffering as well. And she remembered that I'd been working with you, Lorraine, and so she went on to the Becoming Rentable site. She had tried so hard to find a place that would satisfy all of their needs and couldn't find anything. And then she went on to Becoming Rentable, found a place that she thought might work, and then connected with the owner, and they went to stay there. And she said it was really great.
Aw.
It was really great. And she asked the owner if she knew that she was, anyway, there was no listing, there was no information, there was no what's the word I want, promotion of the assisted part of that home. And the ladies just kind of looked at her like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I was like, oh, what a waste, you know?
It,
This
it,
was
it
one of the
really
fun ones.
is. We see that all the time. We get a lot of recommendations on on properties that are on our site. And we really pay close attention and and include in the listings those things that you might not know that are accessible, to broaden that reach and go, wow. Um, and that's one of the things that we do when we're doing consulting work, is really advising the homeowners, the different accessible aspects of a property that people can really benefit from.
Yeah, great.
That's awesome. So your free certification, assuming got some good accessible features, and I think you said there's 63 different
There are.
accessible features to choose from. So so someone signs up, they get your certification, and then they can include a direct link to wherever their preferred booking platform or booking location is, right?
Correct.
So
We
you're
give
just
you a badge as well. So you have
cool.
a Becoming Rentable Certified Mobility or Cognitive badge that you
Okay,
can then also use on your listing platform.
wonderful, wonderful. And so the sort of the consulting fee is more with regards to like maybe if somebody was like, I'm here, this is kind of what I've got, but I think I could increase it with maybe a little bit of effort, then we could engage with your resources to say like, can you help me identify maybe the top things that I could do that would sort of attract more renters with these disabilities? Is that kind of how that
We
would
do
work?
we do that. I would say our most requested service is going over a property with them
Oh, okay.
virtually. So
Okay.
they'll may take their phone and do FaceTime, and we'll go through their website, go through their URL from page to page, and then maybe will show me, what's under the bed. Let's see what we have here. So we go in and can recommend photographs, we can recommend language, and really, before you know it, it really is. Before you know it, they have 17 features. They had no idea. It's like we've been
Yeah.
using, fragrance-free, laundry
Right.
detergent, for
Yeah.
the last 5 years. Well, that is a benefit.
Yeah.
Include that. That's a feature. We have dimmer switches. Great. We use blackout curtains, things that you have a bathtub. That's important. So again, you may not know. And I would say that's number one. People they don't know. They might buy a property, and they didn't build it. And it's like, I don't know what it has. It's a
Yeah.
short term, it's an investment for our
Yeah.
retirement fund. It is our revenue stream. My, wife doesn't, want to work a traditional job anymore, but we know that we've heard that there's, not many accessible short-term renters. Do we qualify? What
Mm.
is special about this property? I would say that's really honestly the most common
Okay.
point, but we do a lot of others. There's two other areas that we do talk about on calls, the ADA and also the
Mm.
cost. I would say the
Yeah.
two biggest fear factors in people engaging in accessible short-term rentals is the ADA, and then how much is it going to cost me?
And so why do we not need to fear the ADA?
Because the ADA in the area of short-term rental, there is only one area of grayness. It does not affect you. Um, we have a document that we worked with the ADA Center, region number 5, and then one, I think region number, it was the 5 states in the Michigan area, and then another grouping. So we worked with 2 of the 7 ADA centers, spent almost 2 years to write up a
Wow.
document. It's free, it's on our website, that explains the ADA and how it applies and doesn't apply to the short-term rental. When it was created, the ADA was created 32 years ago. Short-term rental the ADA was created for public usage and the home development, and the short-term rental has been added in 2010. But again, the ADA affects you. Do you have like a reservation desk where people check in? If you don't, it doesn't qualify. Do you have daily cleaning service to change your bed? If you don't, it doesn't apply. So what we're trying to do now is add to our document the 5 areas of questions. Do you have this? Then it applies. Do you have this? And it doesn't apply. So we're trying to identify this one area of gray, and it has to deal with 5 units. They don't call them rooms, they call them units. So what is a unit? And the government will not confirm what a unit is. But if you have 5 units in your property, and again, and they have to be all rented at the same time, then the ADA will apply to you. And it's separate, 5 separate units, 5 separate rentals.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah.
So a hotel.
so we
So
have
a larger guest house or a hotel or
well,
boutique
again,
hotel.
hotels has their own criteria of ADA because of the public component of it.
Right.
Again, the short-term rentals are typically private residents or secondary. Then we got into the cabins, yurts, and lodge units at state parks. And again, we had to identify how the ADA applies to that. So we do have a free document on our website.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Lorraine, do you have any data on page view metrics? For example, how many people are accessing your site per month, and how many Portland searches are there per month? And my second question is, what percentage of visitors are looking for at least 4 bedrooms? I mean, are most of your visitors looking for 1 or 2 bedrooms in your experience?
As far as what they're looking for, we do have data. We're building our data. Haven't released our data. We want to build it, and Debbie knows I am the least that's not my part of the business when it comes to technology and the back end and all of that kind of stuff. They say, Lorraine, your data is really important. The data that you have is unbelievable. The data is sellable. The data is this, the data is that. You know what? I got some other things I got to figure out, what's the most accessible yurt we can get, so I hate to say I don't have those answers. I don't have those answers. Jennifer probably doesn't have those answers either.
Okay.
But one day soon, in the next couple of years, we'll have those, and I'll make sure that you get them.
Sounds
Gary,
good.
Gary,
Sounds
if you
good.
think about it, someone who has severe mobility issues is not going to travel alone. And
that's true.
So there's going to be probably at least a 2-bedroom booking.
Right.
And if there's other family members, I mean, I think, one of the things that I learned in working with Lorraine is I was not aware that so many people, first of all, that the disability market was as huge as it is. And I wasn't aware that they were not traveling. And so a lot of the thrust behind becoming rentable, from my understanding, is to enable more people who have family members who have disabilities to travel, to be able to take vacations. And there is one place that I know of, and this is really old information. When we first opened our Airbnb, I was interested in this even then, and there was I think a 2 or 3 bedroom home in like the Newburgh or King City area that was listed as accessible, and I called them to ask how they were doing and if they were getting any traction from that. And the person that I talked to said, "I hardly have time to talk to you. We are so busy." She said, we are never not busy. And at the time I thought, wow, that is amazing.
Wow.
So, and here we are. So we have, and Rob can talk about this too, but he is just done a large remodeling operation at our beach house in Seal Rock. And we haven't really marketed it yet. So I couldn't answer any of those questions on a personal basis either, because honestly, Jill and Michael are the only ones who have used it in that particular capacity. So I'm looking to learn how to do some marketing around this and where to go with it. But you know, there's Lorraine, as you're speaking, I'm thinking, oh, I forgot this and I forgot that. And I just bought a $10 sound machine that I'm going to put in there. And I'm so glad we got the blackout curtains.
Right,
And, so
Well,
right, right.
one of your host to host members, Robert Geller, and I worked together, and Robert shared some information that Gary is data related, so you would like. In Robert's research, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, I know you will, that our disability community commonly spends $200 to $300 more than somebody without a disability. Reason being is when we do travel and have the opportunity to travel, it really is a treat. It's like, well, it may not be another 5 years before I go out. So I'm going to go get that pedicure. I'm going to go eat that ice cream. I'm going to go take that whatever. And it really helps to build your community as well by offering an accessible short-term rental. And I mean, the benefits are great, but we are seeing yes, Debbie, they don't we commonly travel 4 is the average for somebody with a disability. 6 to 7 nights is the average. And now we've recently found out that their economic spending is commonly more than somebody that doesn't have a disability.
Well, thank you. That's interesting. I need to sign off, but thank you so much, Lorraine.
Oh, thank you for
Thanks,
being
Gary.
here.
Yeah, thank you. It was very, very interesting.
hi, Gary.
Bye,
Thanks, bye.
bye.
We are
Lorraine,
here. Have any questions, feel free to reach out. Lorraine at becomingrentable.com. Debbie is
Perfect.
right here and she's a wealth of information. And Robert is also very active and could answer a ton of questions also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I think-
curious if you are starting to see increasing amounts of folks with more of the cognitive related sensitivities coming and getting traction in that.
Yes and no. We
Okay.
see the need. We hear from the families. We're working with a colleague friend of ours, Becky Large with Autism Travel Club. And the challenge is there are very few, less than 10 certified accessible properties in the country. It's
Wow.
an enormous market.
Huge.
And we're the only company right now that is actively pursuing our cognitive focus. I do know Airbnb will be. I met with them this past fourth quarter, and they have planned for 2025 to begin marketing our cognitive community. And we already have. It's education. It's getting
Yeah.
the information out. What does it mean? We have the numbers. We had a meeting with Becky today, and she said 90% of her families have the desire to travel, but aren't because they can't find a place to stay. And one of our team members, they have a son that's on the autism spectrum. And Adam said, if there was a secondary lock, that would open up our world for travel immensely. We
Wow.
don't travel right now, but if we knew properties had a secondary lock, that is their biggest concern, is the wandering. Their son will go and play with that bunny, will go and try to climb that tree. And they just are too afraid that they're not going to be able to get to him before he goes out. And so it's a huge opportunity. Yes, sir.
Lorraine, I have a question for you about the redundant lock. It makes sense, but when I look at it, and it makes me concerned about fire egress safety. And I wonder whether or not an alarm would, it might have to be kind of a snazzy dedicated alarm, but would that do the same thing? Would that work well enough?
I think it's the secondary component, which is so important because by the time the alarm goes off, the door might be open. And, I hate to say it, but we saw an example last year in Florida with a 4-year-old, and they had a security system, and the girl went out. 2 minutes later, she was drowned.
Oh,
They were on oceanfront property, and it was a Verbo listing. And
Wow.
it's just like one of those. There is a new lock that I'm gonna go and check out. But Rob, that's a really good point. I haven't thought of that actually at all. And I don't have an answer for you. I have only thought about it from the autism perspective, from the families, that is their biggest concern is the wandering element and how that secondary lock. I
Hmm.
didn't think about the fire part.
Yeah. All salient points for sure. Interesting. So that secondary law, yeah, that is, I see where you're going with that, Rob. I see both ways. So there's got to be some way that we can make it
yeah, yeah.
all sort of work. But
I'm going to
that'll be
ask
interesting
Becky
to
tomorrow.
explore.
Hey, Becky, what's the answer to this? Because I don't have it.
Yeah, totally
And
reasonable.
if you were gonna do a secondary lock or an alarm, you'd have to have it on every door, not just one
Right.
door.
Every door that goes outside the exterior, not the interior, like bedroom, bathroom, but any
Okay.
exterior lock, any
How would you,
exterior door.
how would you do that on a sliding glass door?
Well, that door is so, I know which one you're talking
I
about. It's
know,
so
but-
hard to open, the little kid's not gonna do it.
Well, you know that. but kids don't know that.
I know.
Interesting. Interesting conundrums because each space is so unique
Yeah.
that it's important that you have to like consider all of the elements of your individual space, which is obviously why having some consulting help or just some of that could really help get you over to where you need to be more comfortable offering your home and publicizing it as being accessible and available to folks with a variety of different types of sensitivities, right? Or dependencies that they need to have considered. So I think it's really one of the things you said was really important was just to make sure that you're documenting and identifying, because I think it's not up to you to determine accessibility so much as you keep kind of reinforcing, Lorraine, but it's up to the person who's traveling, right? Because their limitations or the things that they're working with might just be a little bit different from the next person. It's really up to them, not for you to decide. You just present the information and they can decide if it works for them. And I think that's an important aspect
Well,
of it all.
and you just said something that makes me go, "Ooh, I want to do social media on this." Every house is different, right?
Yeah,
But so are we as people. And
right.
so as we look at our own house and the different elements of my house and your house, may we look at the individual needs that we have. It's so hard sometimes to put this in the perspective that you understand. But by you identifying that our houses are all different, could be designed exactly the same, but the paint color's different, the scratches from Lorraine visiting are different, whatever it might be. And the same thing is true for our guest.
Right.
Our house has, the inside of it now is all accessible, but there are 5 or 6 steps to get into it, which makes it inaccessible for a wheelchair user, but not for someone in a walker.
Right.
And so it's still, and we want to do a ramp or a lift or something eventually, but in the meantime, it's still usable by some.
Mhm.
So.
Diana, you had something to say?
I did always. No, I love this information. The downstairs unit that I'm currently staying at here, which my mother has the upstairs, I have the daylight basement, but it was built when they gutted and remodeled this house. It was built with the thought of them getting older. Well, my dad's no longer here, but with them getting older and the needs that they had. And so our doors are all 36 inches. It's all flat surface coming in straight from the driveway in. And, we've got the bars, we've got the drain on the tile floor in the bathroom. We've got, and it's like all of these things. And I'm like, I've never even thought of marketing this when I'm not here, obviously. I take precedence. I never even thought about marking it as an accessible unit, and we
What
even
about
have a
stairs?
full back door that goes out to the whole backyard, you know, where you can
Wow.
enjoy in the backyard swing, and
Oh,
never thought about marketing it.
well, there you go.
So
I tell you, you're one of
so
those people leaving money on the table. Even more important than that is to really fulfilling a need. I mean, it's a huge need. And there are so many people that do want to travel. They want to explore. And particularly with our aging, population, we're going to have over 70 million Americans that are in our senior community. And that's more seniors than new births in America for the
Right.
first time since World War II in 2030. But we're not ready as a society today. We're not ready. We don't have the knowledge of these accessible properties that people can stay. And so, having the now being equipped with this information, you will be able to meet a lot of needs when you're not there or you're camping upstairs.
yeah. No, this is great. And I'm like, I kept asking my mother, for years, like, why do we have a drain in the bathroom floor? Well, and then she told me finally just recently, it's like, because we have a full bathtub, but we have a handheld. So then, they just shower there on the floor.
And
I
then
never
they
even,
use their transfer board and take a bath.
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, I
We got a lot of
appreciate
things
the
to work on,
information.
Diana.
I always
Right?
have a lot of things to work on. Oh my gosh.
You
I
do, but
wish
this
some
seems
of
like
them
a
made
great
me money.
opportunity. And aren't you in like San Francisco or somewhere? Like,
Just outside of San Francisco, yeah.
yeah, so that seems like a really desirable location for someone who is looking
And
for
we're always
accessible travel.
booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always booked at our other units. We have a fiveplex, cute little 1940s tandem style. It's so cute. Anyways, that one we can
Well,
that
Again,
one's a
look
little
at
more tough,
mobility
but
and cognitive. Again, huge opportunity there.
yeah.
it's true. That's true. I can work on the cognitive on that one. But anyways, in here I think we pretty much have it covered. Just
Yeah,
everything.
that's great.
So, but thank you for bringing that information in, and I'll start working on it in a different way when I move out of here into my next wherever I'm going. And so,
Very
thank you.
good.
I
Very cool.
appreciate your information.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, if you guys have any questions, obviously you can, if after the call, you can send them directly to me. I'll filter them right to Lorraine, or you can contact them directly at becomingrentable.com. You should, at minimum, check the website out. So informative. It's going to give you lots of ideas about things that you can do to help advertise and your listing as more accessible, just to open and broaden the possibilities for people who want to travel, want to be out there. You want to bring them to where you are. And so we just need to make that connection. And it looks like Becoming Rentable is a wonderful bridge for that. Again, Lorraine, thank you for generously offering your free certification code for all of our members. I'm going to be talking about this and publicizing it, so hopefully more people can watch this video and understand just how easy it is to make some of these features more available to folks and just open up the possibilities. So I want to thank everyone for your time today. Thank you all for being a part of Host to Host. We're so glad that we're able to bring really compelling content like this. Thank you again, Becoming Rentable, for offering to present this information to us. I think it's just so important for everyone to hear, as this disability market is continuing to grow in the US. And we just want to not only be a part of being responsive to that market, but just like I said, let's make things fun for everyone. Like, let's broaden the possibilities that everyone has, and let's do it together. So